Alright guys, so I just bought this new M8000 hardcore, new to me, it's 2019. And when I buy new things, I like to really thoroughly go over them before I ride them, just to be sure and just to be safe. Because you never know what went on before you had it, even though this is a very low mileage machine. So anyway, after tightening a bunch of loose bolts, and you guys seen my other video there, we made some decals for it. Next thing I want to do is I want to dig into this chain case, because as you can see looking here, it's not showing any fluid in the window for some reason. So we're going to give this a change, and this sled, just like the old Crossfire in here with the diamond drive, there's a lot of controversy over what kind of fluid to use, what fluid is right, what fluid's the best, blah, blah, blah. Well, I can tell you these machines, the diamond drives were built like crap into them. The center bearing for the planetary was way too light. So this machine of mine, I actually had the diamond drive custom built. We bored the center bearing out. Not the center bearing, but the aluminum housing that it sits in rather, and we put a 5203 center bearing in that machine. And I've run a fluid concoction of 75-140 and ATF, and I do like a 50-50 mixture, and I've got over 5,000 miles on that diamond drive since I built it. So I'm going to use that same similar concoction in this machine, only we're probably going to go, I don't know, not quite half and half. We're going to put more ATF than we are 75-140. Now you guys can argue with that and say, oh, that's not right and blah, 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 but trust me. Transfer cases in big trucks, like my 8.1, this Ford Super Duty here, they have a chain into them roughly that wide, and they use ATF for lubricant. So if you want to waste your money on the Arctic Cat juice, you go right ahead. But that concoction right there, I can change the fluid in this every 500-600 miles, and it's costing you just a few dollars. So not to bore you with too much talking, we'll get into this change, what you need and what you got to do. So right off the giddy, we'll get our tools. So this lower cover underneath here, I'm not going to totally remove it. I just remove the bolt right here, and the nut sits right in here, and there's just a Torex head with a 10mm lock nut. So there's one here and one here. He removed those. I left the rest of them on. I'm simply just going to grab this plastic flap and push down, and then you can see your drain bolt there in the bottom. Now, I am in debate of drilling this piece of plastic and putting a plug in so that when I change my fluid, I'm not even going to have to undo these bolts. So that's just a thought. And these bolts here are a 25 Torex, and the drain bolts is a 40 Torex. So we're going to go ahead and get this drained, and then I'll show you how to top it up in my concoction, and we'll be done. Hopefully this isn't leaking is my main concern, where it's got not much fluid into it. So fingers crossed I don't got a seal gone in this already. So you can see the fluid draining there. Definitely not the best looking stuff. She's pretty gray and pretty milky. And there might even be a little bit of filings into it there. I wouldn't say it's not. I think it's just bubbles though, looking at it. But as you can see there, it's definitely hasn't been changed since this machine was new. So this is stuff that a lot of people just cheap out on and neglect and blah blah blah, and then when your machine only has 3,000 or 4,000 miles on it and this stuff is spitting parts out of it. They wonder why. So next we're going to pull the side panel off. Just twist your clips, lift back, and slide it ahead. Now that's off. And then this is your fill plug right here. So we're going to get a funnel and put a funnel in that. And I still have my drain plug out. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put just a little bit of fresh fluid in just to flush the bad fluid that's left in the bottom of that case out. So I just threw a little bit of flush in there. And probably can't see it on the camera, but you see the red ATF. Now I know I get all my bad fluid out of there. So the drain plug's back in. We did our flush. Now we're gonna fill it up. And I didn't check for sure, but I'm gonna put it just halfway up the window for now. It might have to be 3/4 of the way, but most machines with these spot windows, you put them at about halfway. So we're gonna go with that. All right, so I've got it probably more than halfway here in the window, but it's a chain case. Nothing's gonna be hurt here having that just a little bit over the halfway window. And the nice thing about ATF is it's red in the window, so when you look in and you see that the red's going out of your fluid, you know it's time to change it. So that's pretty well here. We're just gonna put the 2 cover bolts back in, put the side panel back on, and we are done.